Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ful-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me is the whole team today. AJ, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good.
Drew, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, my friend.
And Mozza, mate, how you doing?
Very well. Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year. Everyone would just like to wish you all a Happy New Year. Obviously, we're coming to you on New Year's Day, so, Happy New Year to all of you. What we're here to do now is actually review 2024 briefly, just talk about some of our highlights personally, and then talk about our hopes for 2025. I think the best place to start for us as a podcast is obviously this podcast started in 2024. It's been a great first half of the year as a podcast for us. I've had a lot of fun doing it. It's been great to sort of move on and review Fulham as we all do. It's great to have found some people that also like to talk Fulham as much as I do, and it's working really, really well. So, guys, thank you very much for joining me on this episode. Thank you very much for joining the show, as yourselves, and everyone who's watching and subscribing to the show. Thank you very much for joining all the four of us as we sit here and we ramble on about the life that is supporting Fulham, because we all know how painful that can be at times. But let's try and be positive as we always do. Guys, let's start this one off. 2024, great year for Fulham, no matter which way anyone sort of looks at it. It's been really, really positive. Let's get some highlights out the way straight away, shall we? AJ, I'm going to press you for 3 highlights of the year being a Fulham fan, please.
Still being a part of this podcast 6 months in. I thought you lot would be fucked off with me by now.
I'm glad you brought that up, AJ.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it's a bum way to start 2025, but we've got to let you go.
That would not surprise me in the slightest. See you, lads. I'll catch you on the flip side. Thanks for your time. I've appreciated every minute. Go make your own fucking thumbnails from now on. No, honestly, it's hard to not jump to the most immediate thought in my head, which is the Chelsea game. We spoke quite a lot on that on our most recent video. Go for it. Go ahead and watch that. We had a very good last season, seeing that off. A couple of years of good Premier League survival under our belts. It's kind of hard to pull individual highlights when we've been so consistently good for such a long period of time, which is a strange highlight in itself, considering we had a decade of being utter shite. So, yeah, very, very thankful for that one, and looking forward to going into 2025 still under Marco Silva's genius.
Yeah, I think it's a fair shout. And yourself, Mozza, mate, give us a breakdown, a breakdown of your 3 football highlights, not an actual breakdown on air, please. That would be tragic.
I only do those off there. First and foremost, beating the Chelsea 2-1 most recently. Did we say more? I think my second highlight was returning to the cottage. I think I mentioned before, like sharing a season ticket in my family, but I think my not my first game back, it was my second game back was when we beat Newcastle 3-1. And sorry, just got a little fly there going about. Walking outside of Craven Cottage and screaming at the cream of London and surrounding areas and making everyone feel really awkward, like it was some sort of 2013 TikTok or Vine even then, as it was, and still getting a response and getting the crowds going, because that's what I'm like, a bit of an MC, bit of a showman. So as you can see, I've got raucous laughter just from that comment there. Third one, yeah,
You're laughing on the inside, Mozza.
Yeah, I'm dying on the inside. My divorce is going really well, by the way.
Sounds like
I'm taking it very well. My third one will be, just to sort of echo this podcast. It's been really fun and meeting people. Well, not meeting people, but chatting with you guys and learning something new every episode.
I think you're the only one of us so far that's managed to get himself a catchphrase that's t-shirt worthy. So that is available in our shop, by the way. If you're watching this, it is still available in the in the full-on shop, the I'm ecstatic t-shirt. Go out and get yourself one because
You're
I
Here,
welcome.
in
think it'd
case
be
you
hilarious.
need another one of the mash.
Yeah, there
In
you
case
go.
you need another one, there you go.
Big plug, obviously. Drew, how about yourself, mate? Give us some highlights of yours from 2024 as a Fulham fan.
Well, probably one of the biggest ones is every day I wake up and I realise I'm not a Tottenham fan. That's pretty fucking massive.
Yeah, that's a beauty.
You know, running around with an identity crisis, thinking I'm bigger than I am, and then getting turned over by any team that puts in a bit of effort. Thank God I am not a Spurs fan. Outside of that, as far as Fulham goes, yeah, thank God I'm a Fulham fan, not a Spurs fan. Did I mention that? Just
Yeah.
shout that out because I'm trying to broaden our appeal to Spurs fans. Obviously, finishing the year with beating Chelsea. I mean, that was fabulous. And it's probably I'm being glib. I'm talking about waking up every day happy that I'm not a Spurs fan. But one of the things I am happiest about at Fulham is the fact that we've still got Marco Silva. Because I still think, and I know that we've had our wobbles, especially last season when we'd lost Mitrovic and we weren't sure how it was all going to play out, and we survived quite safely. And this season, Marco's taken us from strength to strength, and he is still, without doubt, Fulham's biggest asset. And don't get me wrong, I mean they've signed some really good players, but yeah, I mean I know it's going to come to an end because it has to. But for the first time in a long time, I feel that we're actually building something here, and something fundamental is changing at the club. I mean, if you look at the way that we've played the so-called bigger teams, apart from arguably the Man United game, the first game of the season, the rest of the time we've really done ourselves justice and we haven't been rolled over. And the only way that's come about, I'm convinced, is because Marco is changing the mentality of the club. And to watch that evolution and be part of it as a fan is something that I'm very, very grateful for. And obviously, without wishing to get all sentimental, it's been real fun spending time with you guys. In fact, our subscribers won't know this, but probably some of our best moments come off there and in our group chats. But seeing as none of us want to be prosecuted, I'm afraid you're never going to hear about those.
Yeah, there are certain words we'll use on show that we maybe won't use in our private chat.
Words,
which is absolutely
speeches,
fine.
Ash.
Yeah, words, phrases.
Yeah.
Not going to libel myself
Action.
on the internet, so we'll leave it at that. For me, I think the positives for me, obviously personally, I've already said it. Getting this show up and running has been vital for me. Not to get sloppy, but everyone who knows me knows when I ended my last show with Fulham, it was a real outlet for me, not just talking about Fulham, but for my own mental health and just having the ability to connect with other Fulham fans. Even though I live in Croydon, where there are other Fulham fans, it can be a little bit lonely sometimes being the only one who supports your football team in the area. So it's great to have. It's great to have you free to chat to every single week. It's great to have people that listen and share the podcast. We've received we do get quite a lot of love from people that have shared us and do follow us every single week. And I've been lucky to meet a few people that have listened to the show at football games, and that's always great to sort of hear that. Football Fulham wise, beating Chelsea is always amazing. Going unbeaten in December, when you consider that we had Spurs, Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea in a month, and we go unbeaten, is remarkable as far as I'm concerned. As being a Fulham fan, and I. Third thing is I absolutely agree with Drew. Marco Silva still being Fulham manager, and taking us more and more up that ladder in terms of the quality of the football club, not just in terms of the product that we're watching on the pitch, but the way we feel going into games. And if I told you 6 months ago that we would go into December after seeing that December list come out, we'd go unbeaten, I don't think any of you would believe me, and I probably would have had to take a drugs test. But Marco being Marco, fully understandable how we've managed to do it this month. Yes, there's been a few low performances and drop points in the sense of games we haven't won, but it's absolutely remarkable, and we go through with that. Lads, let's talk about 2024. We just talked about the positives. There have been a few negatives in terms of the football club that we should mention, because I think it's our duty as with voices to talk about. As much as Marco Silva has taken the club forward on the pitch, there's been a few moments off it where I've been slightly concerned around the club, mainly in its attitude towards legacy Fulham fans, as they tend to be put in the media. Me and you, basically, people who have been supporting the club for a decent amount of time. It concerns me, the approach that the club takes. It concerns me. Anyone who is an FST member who gets the meeting minutes, who reads them, will tell you that it's concerning the way that we get spoken about by certain members of the Fulham hierarchy, especially when they're being questioned on decisions they make that tend to be pushing us out as football fans. And it worries me. I don't want to leave the show negative, and we'll move on swiftly. I wanted to say that as positive as 2024 has been on the pitch, off it, there have been some moments where I've been slightly concerned as a football fan, and I imagine in 2025 we will probably have to talk about those more and act upon that, and we will. Drew, I don't know about you, mate, but 2024 on the pitch has been amazing. Off it, it's been slightly concerning. There's been a few moments and a few people at the club that have concerned us. We spoke about them in the past. Does it put a dampener on 2024 a little bit? Some of the things that have happened off the pitch, and and some of the comments that have been made by people that work at the club.
Success on the pitch papers over a lot of cracks, and it provides a lot of cover. If the team was struggling, I strongly suspect you would see more acrimony directed at the brass, the Fulham Brain Trust. What concerns me, not so much is it a dampener, and Ash, I agree with everything you say, but what concerns me is the direction of travel. The marginalisation of legacy fans, the selective dispensing with loyalty points, because the club are testing the waters, because they want to see if they can still sell those tickets without relying on the Fulham faithful. I.e., is there a broader market out there, a bigger market that they haven't tapped into? Because let's be honest, if they could charge twice what they are charging throughout the ground, and though they could still fill it, they would in a heartbeat. And I strongly suspect that is the direction it's going. I think the nadir for me off the field, it actually wasn't Fulham. It was the Jim Ratcliffe press conference when he mentioned the fact that Manchester United can in no way, shape or form have lower season ticket prices than Fulham. Now, that was quite sombering in my mind, bearing in mind the carnage. Oh, sorry, that's not the right way, is it? Because it's the corporate world restructuring and streamlining that Ratcliffe has undertaken at Man U. He's using our ticket pricing policy as a yardstick. That was very disappointing, and there is going to come a day, I have no doubt, where I myself am not going to be able to afford a season ticket at Fulham, and that upsets me. That upsets me a lot. But Ash, like you said, by and large on the pitch, it's been a great year for us. Inevitably, and those of our frequent watchers will know, we've mentioned Fulham's attitude towards legacy fans and pricing. I cannot see, Ash, you being the leader of this merry band, how we do not at some point in 2025 devote a whole show to it. Because fans are talking about it. Even now, they're talking about it. We're doing well on the pitch, Ash. You sit in the Hammersmith end. I sit in the Johnny Haynes stand. Friends that I'd sat with for ages, some of them can't afford to come anymore. And it's only going one way. I mean, I will be stunned. I will be stunned if we do not have, more than one show dedicated to this total issue at some point in 2025. It will probably come, and I know, Ash, you set the agenda, so I'm not trying to usurp your role here. I would imagine it will probably come in the off season when it comes to season ticket renewals. And it comes to the categorization of games as they're doing now, the expansion of the A grade games and the like. That's what concerns me. It's the direction of travel more than anything else, Ash, off the field. Sorry, mate. I didn't mean to
No. Do you know what? It's a valid point. One of the things that you'll see in a minute when we talk about our hopes for 2025 as a show, we want to bring you guys more content. We want to bring people more content, not just our match reviews and match previews. And I imagine there's going to be plenty of conversations around ticket pricing, around the way that the club is structuring, the way that the club are treating fans, which is why we have asked many times, for people to let us know their experiences, especially around buying away tickets and the corporosity of watching Fulham now. What it's like being a Fulham fan or being new to being a Fulham fan. And we encourage you guys to share that with us as a show. I imagine over the next year we will be talking about it because it's not the nicest conversation. It's not the easiest conversation, and it is a bit of a mood dampener in terms of sometimes it's not an easy conversation to have. But we're not here to shy away from having those conversations. Sometimes we have to have them. And I imagine that we will because, it is what it is. And I know from speaking to other people that run other Fulham podcasts, like I regularly do, they've got a feeling that they'll probably have to cover it more as well this year. So, we'll see how that goes. We'll probably end up banding together with a couple of them. So we make sure that all of our messages are as flatline as they can be in terms of a fan group. Not just as a podcast, but as Fulham fans as a whole, because we have somewhat of a voice, and we promise that we will try and use it in a positive way. So, that is what that is. Let's move forward. Let's change the mood a little bit. Let's get back to some joyous thinking, joyous talking, because that was a bit of a dampener. Let's look forward to 2025. Mozza, mate, let's start with you. 2025. I want your predictions for things that Fulham need to do in 2025 in your mind, and things that will make you very, very happy as a Fulham fan. Obviously, don't go mental and mention winning the Champions League or something. But
too late, mate.
What could Fulham do in 2025 that will make you really, really happy as a Fulham fan?
Ali Mack out.
Ooh.
We just drew a line under that part of the conversation, Ash.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
It's a fair argument.
I couldn't get a word in edgeways, Drew. What am I meant to do?
Sorry.
I don't know. Champions League? Go on then.
Champions League.
Instead, be a bit realistic. Come on.
Yeah. Well, I think we're serious contenders for a top six finish. Do I think it will happen? No. Do I want to finish any lower than 7th place? No, but I'll accept that. But I'm liking where we are. I mean, as it stands, as we're at a time of recording, what are we? 2 points off of Man City. Who would have thunk that? Unless I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will correct me.
Probably AJ.
Working on it.
Stato.
Yeah, we are. We're 2 points. 2 points off. Yeah.
Oh God. See, I'm not just a pretty face after all.
No.
How we sit 8th? I have no bloody idea. The table is so tight; it's absurd.
Yeah.
But it's one of those.
This is Marco's point, isn't it? He's not happy that we've dropped points, and we're going to be, if we carry on with this conversation, we're going back to Ash's bugbear of how we manage games.
Yeah.
Let's get on the positives. Mozza, come on, let's look. Well, you want Europe, which is an absolutely fair shout to make. What do you think we need to make Europe if I could say magic wand right now, you get two. Let's say one wish for the end of the season, something you think will help guarantee we get European football. What is it that you would wish for?
At the end of the season, or by the end of the season, as in, what do we need going into next season? Sorry, that's a very
Well, more to
Um,
end this season, so we get into Europe.
consistent strike force. I've said a lot and often that I think one of the biggest problems over the years has been our defence, and now that seems to be in a very good place, better than I can remember, probably within the last 10 years. Jimenez, Nunez, there's that age difference. Nunez has got all that potential. I think Jimenez is a bit past it. So I think this might be maybe his sort of like swan song season, penultimate maybe.
His contract expires in the summer.
I hate to say it. Sorry, I missed that. Go on.
I was saying his contract expires in the summer, so you could be right.
Right. But yeah, we need, or it'd be ideal to have another Mitrovic. And I'm not saying let's get Mitrovic back. We need someone like that again. We need another sort of like star quality player with that pizzazz, you know, like Polina as well. I know he was a midfielder, but that's what would be ideal for me. Do we need that?
One big January transfer would make you think could push us through.
Not necessarily a January transfer, but I just think, you know, what if Nunez could like suddenly come on form, then great.
Yeah, we need one of those super purple patches, don't we? But we'll see. AJ, same question to you, mate. You know, what are your ultimate hopes for 2025 for Fulham? You know, and what you think we can do in that time period?
Yeah, it's an interesting one because we were actually, I believe it was 8th at this point last season, and we were 2 points off of 5th or something like that, similar to what we are now. But we were 50-1 at the time to finish in the top 6. We are currently 5-1 to finish in the top 6. So I think it shows how much our form has improved and how much Marco has done since the start of 2024. Going into 2025, we absolutely need a striker, a clinical striker. Doesn't necessarily need to be Prem proven because Marco has a magic wand that turns players into the most consistent forms of themselves. It's quite remarkable. I've seen very few managers manage players like he does and get the most out of them. They go from being near the end of their careers to still performing. It's quite remarkable. Some cover for left back would be great, but if I'm only getting the one wish, it has to be a clinical striker, even if it's just someone that's in their late 20s that we'll get 3 years out of, but give us 3 years extra to improve Nunez and make him ready for that Premier League starting position when he sort of hits 25, 26 years old.
Not to put any pressure on you, mate, but is there any sort of names that you could think of in terms of strikers? Something that, you know, let's forget, you know, in terms of will they won't come. Just, you know, realistic within our price structures. There one striker that you think right now that if we could go and get them, it would really, really improve us, like straight off.
Don't know if he's in our price structure because of how much Manchester United paid for him, but there's obviously lots of rumours about Højlund leaving Manchester United. I know he's young, so it'd be sort of direct competition with Nunez, but he's a very big, very powerful striker that once again is in a poor patch of form that we could see the likes of Marco getting the most out of. Outside of Højlund and potentially outside of the Premier League, there's a few options in Serie A that are doing really well. I've always liked the Italian league. I can't think of any names off the top of my head at the minute, but there's definitely a few options in there. I always liked Scamacca, but I think he's getting on a bit now. I think he's in his 30s, is he not?
Close to, yeah, close to.
Yeah, it's one of those. Had we got him at the right time, he probably would have been good under us. It's a tough one. It's a very tough market for strikers at the moment because of the way the entire world has been playing football. There hasn't really been many traditional number nines to go for.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair shout, and I think that ultimately we're all realistic enough to know that we need to keep scoring goals if we're going to make Europe, and we need to make sure that we don't become on the beach FC like we were last year, because that was our real issue. We had an awful lot of time last year where we were just properly on the beach. But I got a sense this year that I don't see that happening again. I don't know why. Last year I thought we were just where we were in the league and we were happy and we were comfortable. Whereas this year I feel like there's a bit more hunger, definitely within the squad. When you listen to the way that Marco speaks in press conferences, there's definitely a bit more hunger there from him, I think. Drew, what about yourself, mate?
Sorry, mate, just to go back on that point. Do you think that on the beach was a reaction, was relief? Because at the beginning of this season, we talked about, last season, the off season, that we lost Mitrovic and we had the Saudi incursion and we thought we were going to lose Marco. Do you think there was a sense of just survive?
Yeah, 100%. What genuinely, we had this discussion briefly at the beginning of the season, didn't we? Where I said that I thought the last year it was a case of we lost Mitro, that he's a striker that none of us have seen a Fulham striker like Mitro, in the sense of how important he was to the team and how set up he was. I think there was a case of let's get to survival and then be happy, because we'd never been in a position where we'd lost a player of that importance before and not remotely replaced them, which is what happened. And I think this season, even though we lost Paulinho, which obviously Paulinho is probably still one of the best midfielders we've ever had play for the club, and a massive loss, I feel like last season set us up to maybe just be a bit more resolute to, if you're going to want to succeed in this league, you're going to have to lose. That's how we're going to have to work as a football club. You're going to have to get players in who are probably, underrated, but prove to be the step above that we need. And then they get sold on, because we're not top of that food chain, and we know we're not. So I think that for me personally, I think that also could be a difference this year compared to last year, is that there's a little less shell shock from losing our best player, and a bit more, this is what we've got to become, is we're going to be that team that qualifies for Europe every year, but still sells players to make money.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Paulinho point's well made. We knew we were going to lose him, so it wasn't such a disaster, and because he was such a consummate pro. Whereas with Mitrovic, that just happened. I'm not saying it happened overnight, but it happened quickly, and obviously the uncertainty around Marco, but Marco stayed, and I think this off season, last summer, it gave the club a chance to reset the goals, and I think because they've had a more stable summer, I think that's why we're probably reaping the benefits that we are now. And I totally agree with you that I don't think there's any Fulham fan that thought we were going to have 29 points at this stage of the season, and with the odds that have just been displayed about us finishing in the top 6, the team's still going to have something to play for. But I don't want to hijack your conversation because you're asking my hopes for the rest of the season. I think Mozza's right. I think we need more goals. I think in the AJ will be able to correct me, but I think in the top 10, I think we might be the joint lowest scorers. In an ideal world, this is not going to surprise anyone. I'd love to see Delap at Fulham. He's not going to come because he's a top 5 club player. But I think his age and his profile, his physicality, his strength, his power, is something that we could really, really do with. I'd like to see another striker. Outside of that, and it's already started, but I'd like to see the integration of more of the youth. I'd like to see Cess, the reclamation project with Cess that Marco's undertaken, be completed. And I'd like to see him feature. I hope to see more of Josh King. I hope to see more of young Marshall. I do cast envious glances at Birmingham because Stansfield is tearing it up. I mean, he would do. It's League One, but
Yeah.
obviously they've got Luke Harris as well. So yeah, I mean, in terms of where we finish, I mean, I can see Mozza being glib about saying Champions League. I think it would be a disappointment if the club was not challenging for a UEFA Conference League place, bearing in mind the start it's had.
Mm-hmm.
The problems will then come if we achieve that, because as it is right now, I don't think the squad is strong enough or deep enough to cope with that sort of level of competition. And one of the things that does worry me, and I have total faith in Marco here, is the fact that we've got a few key people that are getting up there in terms of late 20s, early 30s. You think of a Wobie, Anderson's 28, Tom, who we all adore. What's he now? AJ, is he 32, 33?
Yeah.
34.
34.
34.
He's 34. He looks fabulous for his age. Leno, how old's Leno? 31?
31, but he's a keeper, so he could probably last another 5 years.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Wilson's 28 now, isn't he?
even Jedi's 28.
Yeah.
You know, so
We have one of the oldest squads in the league.
Yeah, we did. We definitely did last year, and this is one of the big challenges. We've got to start planning for the future, and I think, to be fair, Marco's doing that with the introduction of the kids. But focus on this season. I'm totally on board with Mozza. I think we should be aiming for European qualification. I think, again, Mozza. Sorry, mate, I'm nicking all your points. Mozza's right. We need more goals. We who here fancies Fulham to win a gunfight?
No.
Being brutally honest, AJ.
No. We had absolutely not. We discussed it in one of the previews to a previous game where we said we're going to need 4 times the amount of chances as our opposition to score just as many goals, because we can't hit a barn door, frankly, in most occasions. We've got the joint lowest goals scored inside the top half of the Premier League with Aston Villa, and we've scored less goals than Wolves.
Yeah, well, that's my point. And AJ, sorry, Ash, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. One of the problems, and it's been masked by Wilson's re-emergence. We don't have people from the midfield running on beyond the strikers, a la Carvalho.
No.
And I think especially if we play with a 5 at the back, I think it's a real weakness. And I know, I mean, Mozza's point is well made about the strikers, but I think we've got to be looking for goals from everywhere, and that's what worries me. I think if anything's going to derail us outside the obvious, like injuries and suspensions, it's going to be the lack of firepower. Because Mozza's right, defensively, I'm more than happy. Yeah, they're getting older, but as it stands right now, I'm happy. But
I think here's the thing for me personally. Europe is the aim, right? I don't think any of us should say anything different. Europe has to be the aim for the football club. I just want to be competing for it this year. I don't want another half of the season where we spend 3 months basically just coasting and going through the motions, because it's depressing. It's depressing to comment on. It's depressing to watch. It's like, yes, we'll survive, and you know what, we should survive anyway, because there's 5 worse teams than us in this league, easy, no matter what, right?
We're actually a good Premier League side.
We are outstanding. We're an outstanding team. But what I mean by that is that we do ourselves a massive injustice, and the club will be smart to realise that every position we finish higher in the league, we get an extra £2 million, right? And that's enough to stop them from marginalising a few extra supporters every single year. As I say, the club should see that finishing 9th rather than 14th is worth, £8 million to the football club, which is, a hell of a lot of posh season tickets, as I say. So,
Absolutely.
we should take that as a positive. Let's look forward, guys. We're gonna wrap this up. One last thing for us, obviously, 2025. Let's make a prediction each. I do want a league position for us to finish in this year. And I know it's a difficult one. I'm gonna go first for once, and I'm gonna put my neck out on the line. I'm gonna go with 7th, but not far off a 6th. Get that European spot, and be happy with it. AJ, what about yourself, buddy?
Just looking at the competition at the moment, realistically, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City are probably going to be the likely top 4. Outside of that, you've got Forest, Newcastle, Bournemouth, and then us. Our argument for Villa and Brighton as well, but I'm just looking at the teams ahead of us at the moment. Forest, how the bloody hell they're still in second with a +7 goal difference? No idea. They've got to be looking at that like an absolute steal. They could be an outside shout for Champions League spot. I think I'm going to go with 5th for us, actually. I think we sneak it in with the hope that City get hit with a banhammer and completely fall off the cliff. We would otherwise finish 6th.
Let's see on that. What about yourself, Mozza?
7th.
That's it. It's one more 7th.
That's
Yeah,
it. Go on, Mozza.
7th done. Mic drop.
Short
Walk
and
out.
sweet.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to best that. I want 6th, obviously. Yeah, like you were saying, Ash, want to fight for getting a place in Europe. Don't think we'll win it or have any intentions. But then again, as Drew has argued, it could be quite detrimental to us going forward. Probably haven't got quite the squad for that. Anyway, I should have just stopped at 7th.
No,
Mic drop. Walk out, mate. Works perfectly.
Yeah.
Drew, and yourself, mate.
I would say 8th. I take AJ's point, but that relies on other teams imploding. Having said that, I mean, you asked me at the end of January, and if we signed anyone significant, especially if we've increased the offensive firepower of the team, then I'd happily revise that up, any 6 or 7. But at the moment, I reckon we're comfortably 8th. The lack of goals worries me for the reasons we've already discussed. I don't know, and AJ, you're probably more a fay than I am, how much money we've got to spend in January. But everyone knows January is a very difficult transfer window anyway. But if we were to add more goals, then yeah, Ash, I'd quite happily roll on 7th or 6th. But at this moment in time,
we've got a good sum of money without the sale of Andreas Pereira, which is looming likely. Whether or not that be in January or be in the summer, we don't know. But let's stick to the actual funds we have available. I think we've got 45 million we're allowed to spend from the Stansfield transfer on its own. So that could give us some potential options. Again, January is a difficult window to buy in. 45 million might not buy you a lot in today's market in the January window, but it's potentially a good sum of money that we can throw 5 million towards the loan fee of someone, and then with an obligation to buy them in the summer.
Let's see. Look, we'll review it at the end of January. I promise you, we'll come back. Everyone who's watching, I will ask everyone the same question at the end of January once we've had that transfer window. We see that if we manage to keep hold of Anthony Robertson, rumours of him obviously strong a lot of clubs, and we may well be tempted because of that. And if we manage to bring in a striker, and you never know, Muniz could hit another purple patch, and we'll be sitting again. We don't need another striker, but we will see. We'll hit that up again at the end of January, guys. Thank you very much again for joining me for the quick review of 2024. I look forward to spending the year with you in 2025 as a show. We promised that we do want to bring out as much Fulham content as we physically can, not just a review and preview show. So we will be working on some more stuff as this year comes out to try get as much Fulham stuff to you as we possibly can. Whether that's series that comes out during the summer when there are no matches to preview, we don't know, but we will work it out, and we promise that we will. Thank everyone watching. Thank you very much for joining us this year, last year in 2024. Please do like and subscribe and share the show so we can reach as many people as we can in 2025. We want some good growth in 2025 for the show, because we just want to know that the work we're putting in is being liked as much as we hope it is. Guys, again, thank you very much for joining me. Let's hope for a good start to 2025 for Fulham. I'll see you all in a couple of days as we come to preview the Ipswich game coming up over the weekend. Everybody else, as I say, Happy New Year. Hope you all a good and prosperous start to 2025. And come on, you Whites.